Hello, everyone. My name is Kalina Gardiner. I'm one of the registered dietitian nutritionists. I'm one of the clinical dietitians here at Northern Inyo Healthcare District. Thanks everyone for joining. This is my first healthy lifestyle talk. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them in and I'll answer them at the end. And I love questions, so please ask away. And also, I just want to do a quick disclaimer that this information I'm going to present is typically for healthy individuals with no underlying diseases. Like say if someone has renal disease, they would probably want to be following other nutritional advice. Okay, so today I'm going to be presenting on a healthier way to lose weight. And let's just dive right in. Okay, so whenever we think of diets, usually they're this short-term approach to reaching a goal weight or perhaps fitting into a certain size. Really, they're usually restrictive in nature and you're avoiding certain foods or you're completely eliminating foods from your diet. And there comes a point in whenever the dieter, they end up caving into those cravings and they end up eating that forbidden food or they're having cheat days. And then once they start eating these foods that they maybe wanted to avoid altogether, they feel like maybe they blew it or they feel like they failed, which leads them to eating all of the foods that were once restricted on your diet. And ultimately, this can lead to a pattern of losing weight and then regaining it and then losing it again and then regaining. And this is known as yo-yo dieting or the yo-yo effect. And it's pretty much this cycle of restrictive eating or restrictive dieting followed by binge eating. And really, this is not healthy. It's not sustainable, and it's actually it's been proven to actually cause more weight loss or weight gain and obesity in the long term. So what I'm here tonight is to really present on some solid evidence-based approaches to weight loss that helps you meet your body's nutritional needs. And whenever I say nutritional needs, I'm talking about like proteins, vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, things like that. But also, I do believe that diets have a room for like all foods. Almost all foods can be enjoyed in someone's life. And as we know, it brings people together. It's part of our culture. So again, I really do believe almost all foods do fit into a healthy diet, but of course in moderation. Okay, so calorie quality versus calorie quantity. I do believe that calorie quality is more important than the quantity of calories that you're having. So really honing into the quality of your food instead of obsessing about how many calories are in that food. So let's take nuts, for example. Nuts are pretty high in calories and in fat, although studies have shown that they're really helpful with weight loss. And whenever someone follows a Mediterranean-based diet, which is typically unrestricted in nuts, seeds, olive oil, olives, and those are all high in fat, those can actually lead to improvements in belly fat over a 5-year period when they compared it to a low-fat diet. So the calorie in and calorie out rule that we've been following for like decades, it's just not true. And all calories are not created equal. I do believe that it's better to focus on whole foods and maximizing plant-based sources, whole grains, healthy fats, instead of really obsessing about how many calories you're having. Of course, like some people can really benefit from tracking their calories, and that can be a really great way to weight loss. And I'm not saying that the calorie quantity isn't important, but definitely the quality of your food is going to far outweigh someone obsessing about counting calories. Okay, so I want to just kind of dive into the calorie in, calorie out, calorie quality conversation. So we have two meals here. We have two slices of pizza, which is around 480 calories. And then what I like to call a hippie bowl, or some people call it a Buddha bowl or a grain bowl, it comes in to 600 calories. So as you can see, the hippie bowl has more calories, but it's also made of nutrient dense ingredients. Like this one has probably a base of like brown rice, quinoa, has a bunch of vegetables, chickpeas, nuts, leafy greens, healthy fat from the avocado, and it also has the it looks like maybe a tahini lemon dressing. So so there's a slew of vitamins and minerals and fiber in this hippie bowl that really makes it a nutrient dense meal. So yes, it is going to be a high calorie meal, but it's also going to be of high nutritional value. And this meal is bound to keep you full for longer, which can ultimately lead to reducing your snacking in between meals, and also to it leads you to feeling less hungry between your meals too. Also, newer research is suggesting that overly processed foods are especially easy to overeat because they can be eaten super quickly and they don't produce the same satiety as more wholesome foods. So you take this pizza here, it's designed to eat super quick, super fast, and it's easy to eat. It's slightly crunchy on the outside, and it's soft on the inside. So it's just really easy to eat, and that's what it's designed for. And processed foods, I'm talking about like frozen pizzas, chips, cookies, things like that. And then you take something that is like the hippie bowl, which has the whole ingredients, or like the less processed foods or minimally processed foods. They typically take longer to eat. And they're actually linked with appetite regulating benefits, so you're more likely to fill up on smaller portions. So if you take something like this grain bowl here, it's actually going to take you longer to chew this and eat it than it would these 2 slices of pizza. Okay, so this body weight planner, this is put out by the National Institutes for Health, and it's a free tool. And I wanted to show this to you guys because it's a really interesting tool to see how caloric needs will change over time whenever someone's body weight adjusts. So science is showing us that as people lose weight, their metabolism actually changes. So it takes fewer calories to maintain a smaller body size. So say if you would have one person and they're a heavier version of themselves and they take X amount of calories to maintain that body size, whenever they lose weight, they're going to actually take a smaller amount of calories to maintain that smaller body size. So this online tool called the Body Weight Planner, it shows you how you would need to adjust your calories over time in order to maintain that weight that you lost. And it's really interesting. It takes into account your physical activity level. You can even put in like a time frame if you want to see, like, I want to take 1 year to get to my goal weight or whatever. So this is a really cool tool, super science-based, and it's free to access. Okay, so I feel like no dietitian presentation would be complete without touching on vegetables. And the one thing in common with many diets is vegetables. And if you want to lose weight, you should start eating more of them. And also, considering 9 out of 10 Americans don't get enough vegetables, it's a pretty safe bet to say that you should up your vegetable intake. And vegetables, they're awesome. They're pretty cheap on the wallet. They're easy on the wallet. They fill you up and they don't contain a lot of calories. So they also have tons of vitamins and minerals for your body. So what we're aiming is for half of your plate to be vegetables. And this is just like my little moment to brag. I have personally helped convert some vegetable haters into veggie eaters through some really simple strategies of thinking outside of the normal vegetable box. So for example, trying riced cauliflower as a substitute for some or all of your rice in a meal, or perhaps like hiding vegetables through thinly dicing carrots and celery and adding it to your pasta sauce, or even adding a fistful of greens like spinach to your smoothies, which I promise you, you will not be able to taste that spinach in those smoothies, or adding some greens into prepared soups. And if you currently aren't eating any vegetables at all, I challenge you to try one new vegetable recipe each week until you have a rotating menu of vegetables that you actually enjoy eating. And what this is all about is expanding your palate and being open to the possibility that there is a vegetable lover that's inside of you that's just waiting to come alive. And the key is to keep exploring the wide world of vegetables until you find ways to enjoy them every single day and with all your meals. Okay, carbohydrates. Don't be afraid of carbs. So yes, a low carb diet plan can absolutely help you lose weight, but there's also plenty of research that supports eating carbohydrates for slimming down. One recent study compared grain avoiders to grain eaters and found that people who ate grains were less likely to be overweight or obese. And some people, they ask me, they're like, should I have carbs? Should I not have carbs? And really, we don't need to take an all or nothing approach to carbs. So you can make grains your side dish rather than the main entree. And what's really important in this is that you consistently choose whole grains over refined grains. So that means eating mainly brown rice instead of white rice, and whole grain bread over the pillowy white sandwich bread, and also choosing whole grain cereals over like the highly processed sugary cereals that we see. And okay, so let's take a closer look at whole grains. So as you can see, there's a whole lot going on more with the whole grains than the refined grains. The whole grain has those two extra layers, the bran and the germ, and they're filled with fiber, with B vitamins, vitamin E, healthy fats. So these are the things that we want. Whereas whenever you get the refined grains, you just don't get that. You don't get that. It's just more starchy. Okay, so don't attempt to out-exercise a bad diet. Exercise is important, and elevating your heart rate for at least 20 to 30 minutes daily, that can really do wonders for our mental health. It can decrease the risk of heart disease. And yes, it can speed up your metabolism a little bit and help you lose weight. Although if you are exercising solely to burn off like the extra cookies you ate, or maybe that late night Taco Bell run that you did, you might need to rethink that strategy. It's a really common thing for people to reward themselves after exercising by eating more. And also the opposite is true too. Some people can punish themselves with a really intense workout after overindulging on foods. The key is to find movement that you actually enjoy, and that way it's going to be sustainable for you. So exercise should not feel like a punishment, and it's probably unsustainable if you're only exercising to burn calories and lose weight. So instead, try to moving in a way that really feels good to you and feels good to your body. Also, picking a variety of exercises can really help you increase total minutes exercised. So one study found that people who do more types of exercising, like say a person bikes and they do yoga and they play pickleball, or take another person, they like to dance, they go hiking, and then they go bowling, they actually tend to accumulate more total exercise minutes throughout the week. So the key here is really to diversify your workouts and to find something that you actually enjoy doing. Okay, making peace with the scale. So this means different things to different people. And some people find that the scale can be really emotionally triggering. So in which case it's not a useful tool at all. although many people can really benefit from self-monitoring. And there's studies out there that suggest that self-monitoring, which includes weigh-ins and tracking your food, weigh-ins with the scale and then tracking your food with an app, or even like tracking your heartbeat with a certain device, those can be good predictors of weight loss and weight maintenance. And just think of your scale as it providing data points, and it can allow you to recognize like really small changes that may not be apparent in your clothing. But also remember that weight fluctuates all the time. It fluctuates day to day. So the idea isn't to get caught up in those actual day-to-day variations, but to notice trends. So if you spot a trend going upwards, it offers you a chance to analyze your behaviors. Like, have you been eating out more frequently? Are you skimping on vegetables? Are you hitting the booze a little bit harder than you have been because you're celebrating like a little bit more? But whatever the case, monitoring your weight can actually allow you to take action earlier whenever it's really a lot easier to manage. And with all things in life, the decision to weigh yourself, it's highly personal, so you should do what works for you. And if it brings up negative emotions, there's plenty of other ways to monitor how your body is doing. Like for instance, lab results or lab values. You can take your blood sugar, your cholesterol, which monitors and sees how much kind of fat is in your body, or your blood pressure. Those are also really helpful measures, and arguably even more important than what the scale says. Okay, redefining your ideal weight. Clients will come in and they have these weight loss goals that their weight loss goals reflect what they weighed in high school, and that was maybe 10 or more years ago. And but yet they'll share that even at their thinnest, they don't really feel satisfied. So the reality is that it's not necessary to be the thinnest version of yourself to be the happiest and the healthiest version. It's good to keep in mind that you get massive benefits, like reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease by losing just 5% of your weight. And that's according to research. So if you are motivated by a goal weight, great. Consider aiming for this goal. And whenever you achieve that goal, you can decide where to take it from there.
And you got a question in the chat from Alexandra.
Yeah, sure.
Intermittent fasting help.
That's a tough one. It's like there's different approaches to intermittent fasting. I think that if you are approaching it in a way that is, you're not like starving yourself throughout the day, it can absolutely be helpful. There's so many different ways to health that yes, intermittent fasting can be extremely helpful, but never really, like, anything extreme can never really be good. So intermittent fasting, as long as you have you're doing it in a safe way, you have the information, you have the research, I think it can be helpful for you. Thanks, Scott. Yeah. Okay. Be prepared for hard work, right? Like anything that's good in life is going to take effort. It's going to be hard. And losing weight and maintaining a healthy weight, that really does take effort. But with time and practice, it becomes a lot easier. And with my clients, with my patients, I really take a micro step approach. I think that works the best. So what we do is we start by setting really mini goals. Like say if a client isn't eating any vegetables or fruit, you can add a fruit or vegetable to the menu each day. And so with each success, you take a moment, you celebrate that accomplishment. And these mini successes, they really add up over time and can lead to really sustainable habits. And you can have some really great health outcomes with these mini steps that have added up to large changes over time. Okay. So taking a break from your healthy habits, say like ordering a plate of nachos at happy hour, that's all part of the journey. And the reality is that what some people might call like slip ups are really just a part of normal and healthy life. And we all give in to the occasional indulgence. Even the most healthy people give into those indulgences. But where I've seen people go astray is that they take this tiny slip up and they turn it into this massive binge, or they just throw in the towel altogether. But I ask you this, if you were driving down the street and if you took the wrong turn while driving, would you just keep going in that same direction? No. And nor would your GPS shame you for taking that wrong turn. Your GPS would redirect you to the street, get you back on the path, and you would keep going. So I invite you to take that mentality to your next food detour and remind yourself that this is all part of life, and just taking a U-turn to get back on that healthy path. So no matter how many times that you've tried losing weight in the past, there's always going to be hope. And people who have successfully lost weight, they tend to continue to manage those behaviors that got them there. So they continue to practice. It's a constant practice being healthy. And a lot of times I find that people treat dieting like this hop on, hop off bus. So after they reach their goals, they hop off the bus and they just revert back to their old habits and their old foods. And then they end up hopping back on at some point and they lose that weight. So again, there's that yo-yo pattern. And again, that's not healthy. It's not sustainable. So to be really successful at weight loss, we need to be making sustainable changes. And it's really less about what diet you follow, like that intermittent fasting, or say a Mediterranean diet, whatever. It's less about what diet you follow and more about what works for you so you can stick with the changes that you've made. And that's what's really awesome about working with a dietitian. We have 2 here in the hospital. You can get a referral from your doctor and you can come in and see us. It's really great to have that person. You know, we've worked with so many clients. We have a lot of experience helping people realize and come into a healthier version of themselves. And also, I do just want to say one more thing about that intermittent fasting. There are studies that do show that it's super effective, but also they've compared it to other studies like a lower carb diet or something like that, or a lower caloric diet, and they've had pretty much the same results. So again, like less about what diet you follow and what is sustainable for you. So that concludes it. I talked a lot about a bunch of different studies. So here are the sources. And now, any more questions? Okay.
What do you think about supplements?
Supplements. Okay, great question. So supplements can be really beneficial, especially if someone isn't particularly meeting a certain need. It's always best to get those vitamins and minerals food first, although but yeah, supplements can be good. The one thing about supplements, they're not regulated by the FDA. So sometimes they're not super reliable. I always recommend my patients to look for 2 different labels. There's one label called, it's abbreviated NSF, and another one is abbreviated USP. And those are third parties that come into those supplement manufacturers, and they test the product to make sure that what's on the label is actually in that bottle of supplements. No more questions? Okay. Oh, there's one. What do you think? Oh, wait, I think I've seen some over here.
Oh, yeah, we got one here. What do you think about frozen or canned vegetables?
So yeah, okay, another really great question. So frozen vegetables can be really great. Frozen veggies and fruits, they pick them, they harvest them at their peak ripeness, and then they flash freeze them, which means that they freeze them like super quick. So it really retains a lot of the vitamins and minerals that are in that frozen food. So they can be really great on the budget. They can stay fresh in your freezer for a long time. So those are really, really great. The canned vegetables, sometimes those can be good. The main concerns that I have in them is like the high sodium content, because sodium is typically used as a preservative. Sometimes they can add other things in there for preservatives. So the canned, maybe I don't recommend that as much. But hey, if that's your only way to veggies, I say, yeah, get it in there. But yeah, frozen or fresh is probably going to be the best of the best.
Got some more here. Jody asked, is protein powder beneficial to take every day?
Okay, so is protein powder beneficial to take every day? It depends on what else you're having throughout the day. Like, say if you're already getting enough protein throughout the day, your body can only absorb so much protein throughout the day. So if you're having excess protein, you're just going to be peeing that out. So if you're worried about protein, maybe sometimes like tracking your protein on an app, a MyFitnessPal, that's a free app. You can track your food, and then it will show how much protein that you're getting throughout the day. Then you can see if you're deficient in it, then maybe you do want to add a protein powder. And again, so the protein powders are considered like a supplement. So those aren't regulated by the FDA. But again, like getting one of those, like really like a good brand or something that has the NSF label or the USP label, those are going to be the best.
We got another question from you. Should the elderly keep a little extra poundage on for good health?
So yeah, research is saying that that people who are a little bit older, they should be into that, like, yeah, a little bit heavier category. And that's, I believe that research is saying that you have like less likely chance to break bones. So yeah, I think that might be beneficial, but also really looking into like, are you getting your needs? Whenever you get a little bit older, your protein needs increase, keeping up with your calcium, all your vitamins and minerals like magnesium, vitamin D. The elderly definitely have usually are lower in vitamin D. So that might be one to supplement with.
We got another one from Sarah. People say granola isn't good for you. How true is that? Like a Nature Valley bar?
Uh-huh. Okay, so the Nature Valley bars, I think that they are high in sugar and added sugar, like white cane sugar. So those might not be the best, but typically granola, I wouldn't think that it's a bad food. It's usually made with a whole grain, and the oats are a whole grain. I think that's great. But also just flipping around that bag and looking at the nutrition label and seeing how much sugar is in it, what other ingredients are in it. Maybe you might want some like nuts and seeds in your granola to bump up that protein content and also to bump up the fiber. I think that's where granola can get really, really good. And also, it depends on what you're doing. Like, say if you're living this really, really active life, you're running a bunch, you're biking, you might need more sugar because your body just needs that quick sugar to recover and to get that extra energy for you to keep biking or to keep running. So I don't think that granola is a bad food. Eat your granola. Just make sure it's low in sugar and a whole grain. That's it. Okay, well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Great seeing all the faces and all the people. Oh, okay.